Are we ready? Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Joe McComb. Before we get started on our COVID report, the city manager has the latest in terms of statistics. And since we just experienced Hurricane Hannah, for those of you that are either new to the city or substantially younger, wanted to remind everyone today is the 50th anniversary of Hurricane Celia hitting Corpus Christi. And for those of you that have just a recent memory of Hannah, just a couple of interesting statistics of how that happened and how Hurricane Celia was in Corpus Christi. And I think you will understand the significance when you hear some of the numbers. And this is from the National Weather Service history. Celia was the third major storm in 9 years. And when Celia blew through South Texas, there were 15 fatalities. You want to start now or you want to wait? Okay. Well, we're going to start over. I'm Joe McComb, Mayor of Corpus Christi. We've had a power outage here at the City Hall earlier today, so we're having some issues, but we'll get started, and hopefully you'll be able to get this either over the live cam or Facebook or through the media. They're here, and thankful they are. Before we get started on the COVID details and information, I'd like to, for those of you that may be new to the community, and I say new in the last 20, 25, or 30 years or younger, today is the 50th anniversary of Hurricane Celia. It was a huge storm, and for those of us that were here and remember it, it's made a lasting impression on us. Just to give you a little bit of information about it, and you can see how little time the city had to respond relative to the times that we've had during Harvey and just our recent Hurricane Hannah. It says Hurricane Celia, and this is from the National Weather Service, so that you'll know where the information is coming from. Hurricane Celia formed as a tropical depression in the northern Caribbean Sea near the Cayman Islands on July the 30th, 1970. August the 1st, it entered the Gulf of Mexico and intensified to about 115 miles an hour. And then the intensification dropped to about 90 miles an hour the morning of August the 2nd. Hurricane warnings were issued for the upper Texas coast. Corpus Christi was not involved at that time. During the morning of August the 2nd. And August the 2nd was in 1970, the same as it was this year. And that was on a Sunday. And so it was a Category 1 on August the 2nd. It was a high-end Category 1 or Category 2, and I think the categories from 1970 to now have been changed, but that's what they were then, from 90 to 100 miles an hour. So visitors and citizens alike in Corpus Christi waited to see what would happen to make preparations. And conditions worsened quickly. Celia underwent rapid intensification, and prior to landfall, it had moved up to about 115 miles an hour, 115 to 25 mile an hour winds, and it did not veer to the right on the northern coast of Texas. It was headed dead at Corpus Christi. And the high recorded wind at the Corpus Christi airport was 130 miles an hour. And it sustained itself all the way through Corpus Christi and finally dropped down to just a tropical depression in El Paso. It made a significant impact in the state of Texas, and it made a horrific impact on the city of Corpus Christi. For those of you that were interested, the storm surge in Celia was a 9.2 in Port Aransas. At Mustang Island, it was a 7.9. And in the Bayfront in Corpus Christi, according to the National Weather Service, it was 4.9 feet. So our seawall protected us then, and it protected us also in Hannah and in Harvey. And this was not a rain event. Celia was not a rain event. The rain ranged from anywhere from 5 to 7.5 inches, and Robstown received the most of the rain during Hurricane Celia. But it forever made a change on us. It was declared a hurricane the morning of August the 3rd. And it hit Corpus Christi in the afternoon of August the 3rd. So there was no time for preparation, no time for boarding up, and the people just had to take cover where the best they could, and then to come out and see what the damages were on August the 4th. And there was a tremendous amount of damage, and we learned a lot from that storm, and technology has advanced tremendously since that, and so we have better time and more time for preparation. But again, that goes back to the preparation of our first responders and the city in terms of our hurricane preparedness and our plans. And over the years, they've proven to be quite valuable to us. So I just thought I'd bring that little historical information to you, 50 years since Hurricane Celia. Now, on the positive side of the note, we've, as you know, we started a disaster relief fund for our COVID, And just a few days ago, July the 27th, we were provided another $100,000 gift to be able to provide to our nonprofits and to others in our community that are needing some help. And so that brings the mayor's disaster relief fund to $489,000 that had been given from people from really across the United States to help people meet some bills, get some food, and meet some other needs that nonprofits have the responsibility to help and assist our citizens. So that's a great thing for us, and we appreciate it. I went to a press conference this morning. The RTA is making available, I think I remember, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 25,000 masks for our first responders to pass out to people when they go on calls, and also when riders get on the bus, so that they can feel a little more comfortable when they're getting the transportation on the RTA bus, that they do have a mask and not to be hesitant about getting on the bus and not having a mask. So they will have masks on the bus for the riders if you don't have one. And I think that was a great move on the part of the RTA, and I want to thank them very much. We're all in this together, and we're going to continue to win together. So stay in there with us. And just a reminder, the beaches are closed to vehicular traffic. They're still available if you want to park your car on in the parking lots or where, and then continue to go to the beach to get your exercise and sunshine. But vehicular traffic is restricted on the Gulf beaches. The city lifted its order, or it expired on August the 1st, because it included McGee Beach and North Beach, and there's no vehicular traffic on those beaches anytime. But it also had some other things involved where it limited access. But now those limitations have been lifted on McGee and North Beach. And so, but our Gulf beaches are still vehicle restriction. And I want to say thank you to the citizens of Corpus Christi and our visitors that came down over the weekend. From all reports from the police chief and others that I've seen and heard, people were very responsible and receptive to the vehicular prohibition. They were able to find places to park and then go to the beach and have a good time. So we appreciate that very much. And it's all because we're trying to do the right thing to keep everyone safe and avoid the overcrowding and the opportunities to share germs, so to speak, and keep people safe. So wear your masks and continue to do that. And I'll ask City Manager Peter Zanoni to come up now and give us the statistics. We're making progress, but it's going to be slow. But we want to continue to encourage everyone to stay in the fight and join with us. And we will get through this. So Mr. Zanoni, if you'll come at this time.
Lo siento mucho por las dificultades técnicas que habíamos tenido, pero quiero mencionarles que hoy se cumplen 50 años del huracán Celia. El 30 de julio de 1970, el huracán Celia, con 110 millas por hora, llegó a Corpus Christi, Texas. Las condiciones de tiempo empeoraron y los vientos registrados en el aeropuerto llegaron a 130 millas por hora. La lluvia fue solo de 5 a 7 pulgadas, pero no hubo tiempo de prepararse. Llegó a Corpus el 3 de agosto. Hemos aprendido mucho en estos años para estar preparados. La ciudad tiene un fondo para ayudar a los residentes, específicamente a sociedades sin ánimo de lucro, para combatir el COVID-19. El total de dinero hasta ahora supera los $400,000. Las playas siguen cerradas para acceso vehicular y nuestra intención sigue siendo en mantener a todos protegidos. Gracias.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Peter Zanoni, Corpus Christi City Manager. And I'm going to give you an update on the statistics for the day, number of new cases, hospitalization changes, and number of deaths. And so we'll begin with the number of new cases on our bar graph that shows a couple of week trend. And you'll see that today we have 238 new cases to report. These are additional persons that have been tested either today or over the past couple of days for COVID-19 who tested positive. So 238, you'll see it's more than the weekend where testing was slower this weekend. The city didn't do any drive-through testing sites. We did do one today, and we tested 100 persons at our drive-through site, and we had about a 30%, a normal response, a normal positive result rate's about 30%. 29 persons tested positive of the 100 that we tested today. So if you look to the 7/27, right after that 95, July 27 was a week ago Monday, and you can see for much of the week we had numbers in the 300. So the weekend and then today is seeming to have a lower number of new cases. Maybe this will be the trend we'll see this week. It's hard to say. But in speaking with Annette, our public health director, there's certain indicators that lead us to believe 200 numbers may be something we'll be seeing this week. And that's the goal, is to get it less than where we're at, especially last week. But we want to get down back again to those zeros and twos and threes, not hundreds, but single digits of number of new cases. So 238 for today, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll have a drive-through test site again tomorrow, the city will, and we'll continue to get test results from other testing entities across the city. Okay, our next chart shows us number of active cases versus number of recovered. We're interested in that orange slice. That shows us the number of recovered people, and as a percentage, we want it to be larger than the number of active cases. And for the past couple of weeks, that hasn't been the case because of the large number of new COVID-19 positives. So today we're where we were last week. 34% are recovered of all the cases we've had. About 4,200 people have recovered. And then we have 66% of all the cases are active, so about 8,384 to be exact. There's 204 deaths, and I'll go over the death chart here momentarily. The number of persons in the hospital actually increased just a little bit over the weekend. It dropped on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Today it's back up by 8. So there's 329 people in the hospital recovering from COVID. Yesterday it was 321. And then of those people, 123 have severe conditions and they're recovering in intensive care. That is less than yesterday. We had 127 yesterday, so 4 fewer in ICU. And that number, if you look over time, if you could see the graph, is slowly coming down. The high from about 2 weeks ago, a little more than 2 weeks ago, was 157, and today we're down to 123. So slow. 204 total in Nueces County since we've been working this COVID issue since March. And some statistics for you. We have 10 more since yesterday, right? So yesterday we had 194. With today's 10 announced deaths, that brings us to a total of 204. But over the last 4 days, we have had the 3 highest daily death rates per day over the last 4 days. And so to say that a little bit differently, today we have 9 deaths. Today we have 10 deaths. Yesterday we had 13, and then Friday the 31st we had either 9 or 10. I'm getting my numbers mixed up here, but 3 with Friday, Sunday, and today's 3 of the highest death totals per day since we've been tracking this. Okay, and then our final chart here shows our number of daily new cases, and then we have a trend line that shows a 7-day average. And our 7-day average is coming down slightly. So today, the 7-day daily average is 257. And when we were last here, which was Friday, it was 259. So a little bit of a reduction in the number of cases per day based on a 7-day average. You can see if you're watching this on TV, the trend line it's coming down, but slowly. It came down a little bit last week and then went back up a little bit, and it's starting to come down again a little bit. I think Dr. Bird told us Friday that the descend is slow, and that's what we expect. We hope that it goes faster than what we're seeing, but it's a slow descend. Okay, so that concludes the statistics for today, and that concludes our briefing as well. It was just the mayor, Mayor McComb, and myself today. Annette wasn't able to make it today, as was Nueces County Judge Barbara Canales. She wasn't able to make it as well. So with that, we'll conclude the briefing. We're going to translate into Spanish, and then we'll see if there's any questions from the media.
Buenas tardes. En las últimas 24 horas se han reportado 238 casos confirmados por el coronavirus. Hay 4.225 pacientes que se han recuperado por completo, pero 329 continúan en el hospital. 123 están en la unidad de cuidados intensivos. Hoy se reportan 9 fallecimientos. A la fecha, los fallecimientos totalizan 204 personas.
Any questions?
Yesterday, Houston announced that they're going to start issuing citations for people not following the mask order. Do we have any plans?
I don't believe so, Mayor. The question is, yesterday Houston started issuing citations for those not wearing masks. I presume that's in what, restaurants or spaces where you yeah, we haven't heard about it. We do know our police chief and others, like our health district staff, in cases like restaurants, are doing spot checks throughout the city. And our health district's more, it's not just spot checking, but they have a systematic approach. And so masks are required in certain locations. In restaurants, it has to be posted. And then in grocery stores, certain grocery stores have required masks. So we're enforcing things like occupancy rates in restaurants. It should be no greater than 50%. And we're enforcing the judge's orders in terms of vehicular restrictions from the beaches. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, well, that concludes our briefing for today. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. I don't think it was able to be shown on Facebook Live, but you probably have received it from Chris Six, maybe KIII, as well as the caller times. So. All right, great. Then we'll be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thank you.